contest, and you know, I'm still going with Morten. I still like the pick here for both gameplay reasons and for personal reasons. But you know, every once in a while, someone's got to go, hey, let's let the classics carry the tune for the night as we get into gameplay here. And it's interesting looking at Clown today, Andrew, because Clown did play a decent amount of minor, and he played some minor Prince specifically during the group stage, but one of the few players to really lean on Graveyard during our group stage. And you gotta wonder, was it because he felt like Graveyard was good in those moments, or because he was trying to protect some of his deck pool for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the cool thing right now about the meta, is that Graveyard is viable, E-Giant is viable, Minor Poison Control is viable, again, Hoggy Q is viable, which is why we're seeing Fishboy and Monk so much to start our day. I mean, Hoggy Q or even Royal Piggy's AQ is one of the most dominant decks right now, and I think a lot of it, too, is that not only is it because it's viable, but you imagine these players have missed playing Minor Poison Control and Hog for a long time. It's been a long time since the meta actually was favorable to these archetypes, as opposed to just forcing it in because you love to play said archetype.
And fun little composition so far from Morten, as he has Fishboy plus Night Witch and the Wizard. I mean, it's if you took Clash Royale now and showed it to somebody from 3 years ago, I think that their minds would explode.
Yeah, well, they'd be like, why do those cards look like that? What are those cards? The Evo conversation is also really fascinating. A lot of people saying that Tesla is no longer even close to the top 3 Evo cards. And you know, when you talk about where it fits into decks and what your other options are, it makes sense why Clown is running Evo Tesla here. Plus, it leaves his options open quite a bit. Valkyrie has really got an uptick in usage. And of course, top of your screen there, Evo Wizard still arguably the best Evo in the game.
And for a card that was arguably one of, if not the worst card in the game for so long
yeah.
in Wizard, it's such a turnaround.
And this is another fascinating conversation, Rich. There's a big conversation out there about Evo recruits, which, you know, I'm very curious to see if that conversation comes up at all today in the competitive scene. But the other one is about Void and how dominant that card is and how weird it is when it comes from a Clash Royale perspective. We've never had a card like Void where you can just click anywhere on the map and eliminate a card and almost always get positive trades. And if you're not getting a positive trade, you're kind of preventing something from happening in the future, right? It's like when you fireball a Magic Archer. Well, now you can fireball that Magic Archer for a +1 trade, and you don't have to think about him at the bridge. It's really a... I don't like playing against Void, but I do like watching it being played at the highest level.
Morten able to shut down the extra chip damage with the Fire Spirit, courtesy of his Evo Zap. Minute 48 remaining as Clown sets up for defense, preparing for the next onslaught from Morten.
Yeah, and this is going to be really what this game is all about for the next 100 seconds, which is just about Morten trying to build these big pushes using the HP that he has, right? I mean, he's got these big beefy cards, but he has to be able to get to the AQ every time, like you're seeing right there. And then using the Monk opposite lane, I like, because the Monk has to kind of work against that Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has to work against the Monk here for Morten, and then ideally, like, you seeing cycle back to it so that you can get it up in the face of the Wizard. So I'll be very curious to see how Clown continues to play his defenses as Morten is going to try to spread him thin using the beefiness of his deck.
Little elixir lead, though, for Clown as he decides to double down, get the Miner out in front of the Archer Queen. She'll get picked up by the Giant, but 54 seconds left. Clown with a significant lead and adding to it as the poison chips away. 1680 to 2144, and that Valk ability just shutting down the Giant getting to that tower.
And that's exactly what you have to do, right? That's exactly what I was trying to hint at, is that you have to get back to a Valkyrie, whether it's Evo or not, to get in between the tank and that Wizard, because the Wizard being behind with the shield can be so brutal to get on top of. Valkyrie's uptick, I think a big part of it is because we're seeing Wizard being used all over the place. And yeah, I mean, Clown's defense is insane. You know, you look at his win rate with Minor, it's a 57% win rate, but he ran it 76 times. 76 times in qualies.
And you see Morten trying to predict with the Void spell getting a hold of nothing, and you saw him kind of selling out there, kind of letting the miner go to work on his own tower, recognizing he had to bank that 3 elixir for a push, and just couldn't put it together. Clown absolutely shutting it down in game number 1.
I mean, the defense or elixir on taking care of a card that is absolutely brutal to him coming across the bridge and have a decent matchup. Otherwise, you know, you're never going to be able to break through like we saw in that first game.
Morten had a bit more success last weekend playing a very similar deck, but with the Goblin Giant evolution, and here we go back to what we would think more of as classic Morten gameplay. Royal Hogs come right into a Wizard plus Ghost.
Yeah, Wizard, Ghost, Evo Bats. It's been cool to see Evo Bats being worked back into the mix. You know, I really do love that almost all the Evos are viable. Evo Ice Spirit is actually really strong right now. So we're seeing Morten going to, you know, Royal Piggy's cycle here with the Evo Ice Spirit and the Evo Skellies. Probably gonna have AQ, EQ as the last 2.
Things slow down a little bit as Clown sets up his monk in the bat. Immediate push, opposite lane, just bats to work against those pigs. And the King Tower activation does get done for a second there. Looked like it might be a fail.
Yeah, that's going to be really, really helpful. Prince, man, it's been cool. I mean, this is such a cool game. If you look at this game right now, and a month ago, you look at what was played at the top of the leaderboard and in competitive, it's so cool to see all these cards work back in the mix. Oh, Magic Archer is back. Monk is doing something completely different now. Prince is here. You know, Bats are here. Evo Ice Spirit. This Royal Hogs deck is back. Like, there's so many cool things about the meta right now. It's so diverse.
And the potential to overwhelm and go the opposite direction with some of these spammy cards, really dangerous for Morten. And I have to be very careful about some of these bridge fights.
I mean, Morten is going to have a lot of difficulty in general taking care of all these support cards. You know, the spells he has is EQ and Log, and he has to be able to take care of Magic Archers and Wizards and Bats, and these are all really difficult to do when you don't have that. And look at that, a big connection at the top of your screen, the reflection on the cannon, Wizard is on the tower, that ability, or excuse me, the Evo is going to kill the Skellies if they even get there, and that's a huge blow early here by Clown.
I like the 3-1 split out of Morten, trying to make some decisions happen. Archer Queen gonna go down to the Prince with 24 seconds left. Clown in the lead by almost 400.
And the other thing too is these drills are going to be tough to get on top of when you talk about the ability to kind of NATO away things and you know, NATO away the skeletons. So you're kind of going to rely on perfect Ice Spirits and Logs a lot of the time. But then you add in a tank at the front of the bridge, and then we're going to see how Morten is going to adjust to that.
Archer Queen having so much difficulty getting anything done here with the monk on the board. Delivery having some impact though.
Nice Ice Spirit
145
there.
left.
The Evo Ice Spirit is so great when it comes to defense. I mean, the amount that it can cover defensively, it really can make up a huge elixir deficit.
Keep in mind that Clown doesn't have any direct damage spells, barring the little bit of damage he gets from the drill pop and from the tornado. So if Morten's able to extend that lead here, which he does with a very impactful Pigs connection, it's going to be a little difficult for Clown to get back without making some direct connections.
Yeah, Morten doing a great job right now. Clown going to try to go offensively on the other side here. See if we can get some goblins on tower. Morten does a great job with Skellies plus Log. Perfect timing once again. 1607, 1361, right back on the offensive. Ice Spirit behind looking for the bats, but we see an adjustment from Clown.
Evo Ice Spirit does keep it going a little bit longer. 2113, the mark on the bottom right-hand tower. And Morten's got to figure out how to contend with the monk maybe get into some 3-card cycle here, and you see the Earthquake down. Monk in for reflection, Log to back up a little bit, and Morten should be able to shut this one down from here.
Yeah, I mean, he really should. He should be able to just play defense and EQ cycle all the way out here. He's got a lot of defensive options. He's got a great way to get on top of this drill. There's the late Log. I don't know if he should have taken that much from the drill. 942 to 863 with the EQ cycle. AQ trying to take out the Wizard. 755, 942, and another set of piggies down.
I really like that Piggy's play here, Andrew, because he's forcing Clown to play defense rather than get on offense. And the last thing you wanted if you were Morten was Clown putting damage on your tower. So 5 Elixir into that right-hand side, absolutely the right call from the veteran.
Yeah, really opposite lane. But Morten just did such a good job, like you said, with that Ice Spirit. The Ice Spirit almost turns the Princess Tower into a Dagger Duchess, if that makes sense. It allows you to have so much...
I totally get it.
Yeah, you get... Okay, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And here we go. Very curious to see if we're gonna take a look at some Evo Gob Giant today, and
yeah,
we will get a look at him.
Yeah, Evo Gob Giant, for all of you guys that don't know out there, haven't played against it yet because it is still so new, and I think its usage is pretty low. I mean, you see it with Sparky a decent amount. You know, 50% starts spawning those goblins, and I'm really curious to see in competitive if we see, you know, the goblin takeover here at CRL.
Well, looking at the side of Clown, arrows, Evo Zap, Log, and Delivery all out for Morten. And it does make it feel like there's more opportunities to get value out of those goblin spawns in that later phase.
And this is a classic tried and true Morty deck here when you talk about the bats, the goblins, the wall breakers, the poison. You know, you got a champion in there for a 3-card cycle. I mean, this is his bread and butter, just kind of with a facelift to match 2024. And already to that Evo'd Gob G.
But the Mother Witch in here. Mother Witch plus poison. It's going to be a nice combination. You already see some pressure the opposite direction out of the Mother Witch, turning those goblins into bats.
Yeah, and you know, that right there just shows you the strength of the Goblin Giant, right? That Mother Witch should have been maybe a lot bigger of a problem, especially with the goblins spawning, but the one Stab Gob gets away, gets on top of the Mother Witch, and kind of just stops everything in its tracks.
First 2 minutes almost away. Slight lead for Morten as that closed the gap down to 31 HP. You saw Morten tilt his head there, kind of thinking he wouldn't take that shot.
And these guys have very similar win rates with their win conditions here. We got Clown with Evo Gob Giant. He ran it 26 times with a 73% win rate, so definitely a huge fan of that. And then Morten on the other side of it running Miner at a 70% win rate.
That Fish Boy not going to quite get the Giant Skeleton to tower, but did require some extra focus from Morten.
What's nice for...
And I know he doesn't have it.
For Morten is that for Clown is that Morten doesn't really have a great way to get on top of that Goblin gang right away. So we'll see how that kind of stacks up as this game goes on. Another connection on the right-hand side, though. Morten really doing a great job pressure-wise.
Well, that's exactly what he needs to do here, right? Is make Clown play defense and not let him get into big push mode. And so far, he's doing a great job. The Miner will get down, wall breakers. The Little Prince and calling the Guardian to clear, but I don't know if that's going to do it.
The nerf, man, the nerf. The less damage from the Guardian. We still get a huge connection there from the wall breakers, and I think Morten should be able to play this defense pretty clean. We'll see if Clown has any tricks up his sleeve. Fisherman comes in a little late to take care of that Giant Skeleton, but the bats, man. The Evo bats are one of the most satisfying cards in the game for me. And I
definitely have, and they're one of those ones where I think people, when they first saw Evo Bats, they were like, is this really going to be that impactful? And we've just seen in the right hands in the right moment that vampire ability can be so devastating.
And the Lightning comes in 1657, 824. Morten completely turning around this set, man. I mean, this is why he is GOATing for a reason. I mean, he is so good. He always stays so dialed. And Clown is just being completely overwhelmed. Those bats are on tower. Morten with the reverse sweep, doing what he does. And every time that I pick against Morten and I lose, I could not be happier. I am such a fanboy of Morten. What a great turnaround set for him.
You know,
everyone except for 2 last year as well, especially after Molite is actually winning his first set. I mean, maybe that's actually why people are voting for Morten. Maybe it's weird that Molite is winning the first set and not losing first and then making that lower bracket run. Maybe Molite's out of his comfort zone here.
And a fortuitous monk, we'll call it there, blocking the void that I don't know how he could have known that Morten had, but it is Mohamed Light. You never know. Arrow's going to come out to clean all of that up. So an interesting start here. Mo Light just taking a lick of damage, or excuse me, giving a lick of damage to Morten.
Morten with a Void Arrows combo, one of the best spell combos in the game. Not exactly sure what deck it could be. I mean, really very possible to be a wide variety of win conditions. And then we see Mo Light at the top with, once again, a super weird deck. We saw him run a weird deck like this in the first set versus Rainbow as well, just using a Monk plus a Miner with Wall Breakers and then 2 small spells. Maybe just a weird double small spell Miner control deck like we saw in that first set. We didn't see Rainbow use his deck, you know, to the utmost ability to be able to beat this Monk Wall Breakers deck. Let's see if Morten is able to prove what I hope to be true, that this deck is not the best deck of all time or anything like that. But I mean, give Molite any deck and he's gonna do pretty solid with it, right?
And RG out early here from Morten, is getting RGs out in single has now become the way to go. So you can get an Evo RG, but Morten will definitely not get that second RG down before we get in the double elixir. Yeah, fascinating with his deck here. I mean, Morten definitely has good ways to get on top of those wall breakers, but the biggest problem, as we saw with Rainbow, was that Monk reflecting the log back, and Morten here getting predicted. One of those connects, then the Demolisher gets thrown away. Now these Evo skeletons are non-factors, and that was a really nice prediction there by Mohamed Light.
Great prediction, and yeah, I was really surprised to see those Evo skeletons survive the log somehow there, but it still wasn't enough to get the defense. The wall breakers connecting. Now the Evo wall breakers are in sync. A really nice Goblin Demolisher there. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. Either way, Demolisher does a great job of cleaning that up. Now Mo Light has to defend this Royal Giant.
Yeah, really well played there by Morten. Even if it wasn't on purpose, the idea of it being played high and in the middle there to play both lanes if the opportunity were to arise, and definitely does for him, is that Phoenix gets some good damage on that right-hand side, evening things, or close to evening those towers up. 2097, 2352 to basically 2 untouched towers here for Momo.
Goblin Demolisher at the bridge here, gonna try and kind of block at the bridge yet again, which is really what you have to do in this Monk Mirror matchup. The Monk is not deflecting the tower, which isn't as important as it used to be versus a Dagger Duchess or something of the like, but still, Morten able to win this bridge battle nonetheless. Because of this, here comes the Royal Giant yet again with the Void on the offense as well, but the Bomb Tower plus Evo Zap defense combo, and like you said, Mo Light still without a touch, without a scratch on his towers.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Morten here maybe needs to eat a big offensive push from Mohamed Light so that he can start cycling these monks in the back and these RGs in the back. You know, Juicy, I hear you talk all the time, you know, on broadcast, when someone is playing Royal Giant, when they run into a brick wall, they need to just get 2 RGs out with champion in play. You know, you got that 3-card cycle. I think that's something that Morten has to work towards in this final minute. You know, one of the things that we saw Lucas do so well was get damage in other places, and then once we got to double and triple elixir, it was to turn on the pressure from the RGs. So this is kind of what I'm talking about in terms of you needed to take damage and to maybe get a push going, but there's no units alive on the board. There's no RG there. The Monk is just coming right back out, so the 3-card cycle isn't really a factor. And now we see an RG come down, but Mo Light, you know, is going to be able to defend this. So you need 2 RGs.
You do need 2 RGs because, you know, these pushes look scary. You get 1 hit, you get the Goblin Demolisher hit, but that's not enough in order to win this game. Maybe this push will continue, but even then, the Bomb Tower is there. The Phoenix is strong in defense. The Zap is back in cycle. The Void here is trying to hit something. At least it gets the Phoenix a little bit, but here goes Mo on the offense. I mean, it seems like Morten's trying so hard to just get 1 Royal Giant shot, and Mo Light sends Wall Breakers plus a pre-log at the bridge and easily gets even more damage just like that.
Predictive Void comes out, catches a little bit of nothing there. Mo with a double connection at the end. Won't take the tower, will take the game. And Mo with this Monk Wallbreakers deck is showing you that it can and is viable. Now, you know, you can drop them at the beginning of the game like you haven't been able to do for so long.
Spear Gobs at the bridge, dropping in the next game here. Mo with the Ghost to defend as well, and a Mighty Miner. So Morten going to most likely some comfort here with, you know, the Spear Gobs, the Wall Breakers, the Poison, the Goblin Drill / Miner here. And I think that's the play when you're going against Mo here. You have to use your best deck. You need to be able to use a deck that will allow you a chance to play, to be the best player in the world.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how that Mighty Miner is going to stack up over time against this Wizard. You know, one of the things we talked about earlier is a lot of Valkyrie being played. The Valkyrie can be dropped right on top of the Wizard. Evo Valkyrie can pull the win condition back and still take care of the Wizard. Mighty Miner has a little bit more difficulty being impactful, so we'll see here. And Spear Goblins, Juicy, haven't seen a lot of Spear Goblins in general in the Clash Royale meta.
Yeah, they're an interesting card. I think a lot of the time you'd rather just have some skeletons or just stab goblins for the same or less elixir, just to provide a little bit more value. But Morten, you know, it is one of his favorite cards, the Spear Goblins. He knows exactly how to use them, how to split them, how to abuse that slight range that they would have compared to one of the alternatives to get as much value as possible.
And, you know, you talk about value in this matchup. Those Spear Goblins have an insane amount of value. No log, no small spell, no way to get to them.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking exact same thing. Even the E-Spirit isn't able to take them out completely. So, and the other thing is versus the Evil Royal Giant. You know, you don't want goblins, you don't want skeletons. The Evil Royal Giants can be able to take those out decently. But the Spear Gods are going to be a sneaky amount of DPS just to help out a tad more. On the other side of things, Muhammad's deck, it almost seems like a snipe to Morten's deck here. Is Lightning for Tesla, Barbarian Barrel, Wizard, and Ghost for Goblin Drill. And, you know, the only thing, and even as E-Spirit for bats, I mean, this Evil Bats is probably the only thing that might get some value, but even then, the Wizard is another threat.
And he should be able to cycle back to bats here. And there they are. Wizard comes out right on top because Mo knows that's the best way to defend. And this is one of those things, man, when you're playing against Mo, and I've been saying this for 3 years now, it's like, you got to go to option C. You cannot go to option B. A, not even a question. Option B, really not a question. You got to go to option C. If we're sitting here talking about how good Evo Bats are, you're going to cycle back around to them. They're going to get good value. The only way you can take care of them as a Wizard, you can't just play them up high at the bridge.
I will never forget what you said last month when I said I played against Mo and he predicted literally everything that I did. And you told me that, well, I must have been playing pretty good because Mo is predicting the best play possible. So like you're saying, option A, option B, option C, it's almost like you have to play extremely unoptimally just to prevent a prediction. And it's almost like playing worse is better in some situations. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's such a weird bit of logic, but I think if anyone has been watching Mo for the last few years, they know exactly what we're talking about. So here we go. 90 seconds remain here. 26-71 to 24-28. A very, very close game here. Neither one has really broken through huge. And in this final 80 seconds, you imagine this Royal Giant deck is going to start to be able to turn up the pressure. But we all know Morten with triple elixir in a deck like this can do the same thing. Lightning comes in 21-11 now to 26-71.
Here comes the Goblin Drill and the Fire Spirit to pressure. Fire Spirit does get picked on by skeletons. The Goblin Drill is placed very well. That one Goblin getting some very nice damage. And all of a sudden we're evened up by quite a bit. But the defense needs to be perfect. You have to play high Tesla placements to prevent any sort of lightning value. You need to watch out for the Wizards locking onto your bats like that. Wow. It does stop the Royal Giant connection though, but here comes another one.
Yeah, and that Wizard going down is really fortuitous there for Morten. Tesla comes out, Bat's going to do a lot of damage. Mo not being able to pick up those drills, and Morten is going to be pushing this. Maybe, still 30 seconds, a lot can happen. Might be able to push this to game number 3 in this set, but it does feel like he is on top of Mo cycle at the moment, and I was just going to say, he's got to change up that drill placement. That's exactly what he does.
Wizard does get picked up by the Mighty Miner here. Ghost at the bridge on the right-hand side with the Wizard. Is Molite switching lanes here, or is he just trying to block at the bridge? Here comes the Roll Giant left side. They drill on the right. Both players need to defend perfectly here. The Roll Giant might be able to connect to the tower here last second with the lightning, but the Goblin on the tower on the right, and Morten takes the game.
Wow, I mean, you talk about great plays there on both sides. Morten keeping up the pressure, knowing he's going to pull out really, really well against a guy that had Wizard, Ghost, and Barb Barrel. So here we go, game 3, and a little bit of a bridge battle to start things off.
Knight Evo and a Valkyrie Evo. Morten with the Valkyrie, Mo with the Knight. We see a Princess at the bridge using the Knight to push the Princess forward to get it locked on tower right away. We see a poison as well. So Molite being able to use maybe kind of a last meta deck with the minor control with Princess, and then we have Morten here going to the Hog Quake.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. I was thinking that Mo might run some version of Princess just because he's been so good with Princess. You know, we haven't seen him play much of it at all today. And, you know, he really leaned on that Princess spell cycle or bait spell cycle. So he's going to go straight up Princess bait with Snowball Poison. Obviously, the Snowball and Ice Beard are here just to see if he was going to run into a Hog Rider, which he did. So nice call by him and Julesy.
Here comes another Hog right away. Tesla is on the board, understanding that Hog Rider will be coming through quickly. But the Valkyrie getting a hit, 2 hits, not 1, but 2 hits onto the Tesla makes it so that Mo has to use a Snowball as well. And Morten's going to be up a solid amount of Elixir and a decent amount of damage here to start. I think that's Snowball from Mo. Obviously, he wasn't able to use Log, but that Snowball could be a huge difference maker in stopping these Hog hits.
Definitely. I mean, that Hog, you know, Mo had no Elixir. He barely ticked to, I think, 3 when he threw that Snowball, and Morten just behind on the EQ couldn't get the Tesla taken off the board as quickly as he would have liked, which would have given him a hit. So perfectly timed Snowball on both sides now that we see Snowball coming out for Morten as the 7th card. 24-10, 26-99. And opposite lane Archer Queens, it feels like, are going to be a big thing for Morten just to keep that cycle on top and be able to keep up with Muhammad Light's Princesses and Barrels.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Archer Queen is going to be allowing that 3-card cycle for Mo. Muhammad Light not having an option for that. If he doesn't need an option, he's got a pre-poison and a pre-snowball on the Goblins here. With that UNI taking, getting some nice damage here. I mean, we talk about the Snowball being strong versus the Hog Rider. On the other end of things, the Snowball is not what you want versus the Goblin Barrel a lot of the time.
And Archer Queen goes to snipe that Tesla, but a Knight is there to catch. Now a Hog coming in with Tesla right back around in cycle. EQ there to clean it up. No Hog hit. Archer Queen, no ability, but full HP.
Goblins going to
late ability, here we go.
Barely get down time, and we do see that ability. Knight is able to tank most of it. And that Snowball, once again, versus these defenses is very strong. I think Snowball is definitely one of the most underrated cards.
Definitely, and I mean, that really felt like that Archer Queen should have been able to tuck behind those Goblins or behind that Hog, stay alive somehow, but a perfectly placed Snowball, again, from Mo Light. And this time, Hog will not get a hit. Again, Knight plus Goblins plus, I think, a Snowball there at the top.
Yeah, misclick Tesla there had me gasping for a second, but the Hog defense is completed. That Evo Valkyrie getting on the tower on the right earlier, we didn't talk about it, but that's really what's allowing this massive damage a lead here. We see another Tesla in the middle, but the Evo Valkyrie, I mean, it's just damaging everything, and it's pulling the Goblins of the Night away, and the Ice Beard hit, and the Hawk hits.
Wow, I'm starting to get amped. Morten is playing these defenses against the barrel really, really nicely, perfectly timed snowballs, and he is creating opportunities to get damage on that right-hand side based off of what you said, Juicy. A little bit of a mistake early on from Mo, allowing that Valkyrie to get as much damage as it did. The 3-card cycle from the AQ has already been really, really impactful here from Morten. Always having a snowball or Valkyrie ready to go, always having an option, always having a great way to deal with his Evo Knight, but those high Teslas, no EQ there because he's got to focus on the left-hand lane.
Molite is desperately trying to spam enough Gombrels to get a connection. He's sending poison cycles as well, but at this point, Morten's gonna be able to drop Earthquakes on the tower as well. He needs to get a Goblin Barrel hit, or else Morten is taking the game for the upset here to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, perfectly timed snowball there. Morten is not, he's one of the best bait players in the world. He is on top of this. Now looking for that Princess at the bridge. AQ still alive. High Valkyrie, you know he has a snowball plus goblins ready to go if he needs it. And Morten gets the reverse sweep against Mohammed Light and stays alive in the upper bracket. I am so happy to be wrong. Morten pulls it off.
Oh my gosh, and Rich is in the chat saying, I am a genius in all caps, the only one to believe in Morten here. Like really at that point, your only defensive capabilities are those Evo skeletons, which did kind of allow him to win that match, especially versus a Barbarian Barrel. But he did a great job of just keeping that cycle in tow, like in cycle perfectly the whole time.
So one thing to note for both of these players, Morten has won his first 2 sets 2-1, 2-1. On the flip side, Lucas has gone 2-0, 2-0. So Morten has shown a few more decks, you know, and Lucas and his coach are going to have a little bit easier of a time to try and counter what Morten is going to bring out.
Ghost in the back. So we have Lucas actually with a drill deck and Morten with the minor poison. Most likely Lucas is going to be using the tornado as well, which might give Lucas a bit of an edge here, especially versus the miner.
So Lucas in his first game of the day, he did run the quick cycle, Demolisher, Drill, Tesla, NATO. Gonna switch it up just a little bit, but still run that Drill, NATO combination.
Mine on the left here in the anti-tornado placement. Bat's gonna drop down right away. You can see Morten shaking his head a little bit when he sees the Monk. Monk is the natural counter to Archer Queen as seen here, which just in general is gonna mean it's a lot easier for Lucas to keep his 3-card cycle activated. He's gonna be able to get some more positive elixir trades potentially, and it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for Morten in general. What Morten has is the poison though. The poison is going to be a big difference maker, especially once we hit into triple elixir, where the poison cycle is going to be getting lots of damage.
Yeah, we're going to see how Lucas wants to attack this matchup with no big spell and just the tornado. These Archer Queens, these Valkyries, these guards, when placed on Morten's side of the map, are just going to get so much value. It's going to be so difficult to take them out if you're Lucas.
Ghost does pretty good versus Archer Queen. You have to respond. He drops the guards as well. Monk, the miner. Morten doing a great job of applying dual lane pressure here, realizing that he cannot go the same lane as Lucas here. Lucas, same lane with the wizard, and the monk is going to be brutal. So he's getting damage on both sides, so he can switch lanes whenever necessary.
Tesla out of cycle for Morten, just taking off the map right there. Trying to figure out what Morten is supposed to do, because he keeps cycling the wizards, the magic archers in the middle of the bridge, not really trying to, and right there, just outside of the range, that's going to be 3 shots. That's a good interaction for Lucas. But I'm just trying to figure out how Lucas wants to set it up, specifically the wizard and magic archer, and how he wants to keep them alive on the map.
Yeah, especially versus the poison. I guess you just need that evil wizard in cycle. And yeah, the Tesla is also a great card as well here, because Tesla does not get deflected by Monk. It's kind of an anti-Monk building. The wizard in the middle here makes it so the Valkyrie has to be responded to as well. But once again, the Ghost is just so underrated. It's able to stay invisible here and just walk straight past his Tesla.
Yeah, right there. Somehow it doesn't walk past the Tesla. Tesla gonna awaken multiple times in order to take it out. So a very fortunate situation for Morten right there. And Lucas just gonna pop the ability, try and take the Archer Queen off the map, and see how he wants to attack this final part of the game. 15 seconds away from triple elixir. Both players relatively even. Lucas, both of his towers at 2450 HP.
Guards might be the MVP of the day. The guards are so strong after the buff a while ago to not die to arrows. Of course, being able to survive log as well. Guards are being used from both players here to defend the miner, to defend the drill, The question is, who's going to be able to counter push or to break through those guards more efficiently? And I think that answer is going to be Lucas. He just needs one good wizard or magic archer on those guards to line up on tower. But if he can, then Morten might just win this just once again with those poison cycles.
Yeah, it really looks like Lucas has one more opportunity to push. He's going to go in with kind of a fake push on the first one, go in with a monk at the bridge, then the drill. But that second push is going to be the one that matters the most. Right there, is that 2 shots from the magic archer that I saw?
1 or 2. The Valkyrie eventually takes it out, but now here comes a double wizard at the bridge with the drill. The real push, as you said it. Dalba drill is a massive threat here with the magic archer. Not able to stop, but the fire spirit connects. As a fireball's worth of damage on tower for 1 elixir. Now this magic archer needs a connection. Wait a second. Misclicked on the defense. The Valkyrie is late. The magic archer connects, and Lucas takes game number 1.
Wow, a rare mistake coming in from Morten right there. Doesn't get it down in time. Oh my goodness, I need to see the replay on that. If he did,
because the bats were tanking for the magic archer. So he just had to delay that poison with his miner a little bit. He just needed to defend that magic archer first and then play the poison to clutch up the game. A slight misplay, but in the highest level of Clash Royale, this is a $1 million league, or I mean, you just can't be making mistakes like that.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, like it can't be done. That is such a minuscule error.
I know.
0.05 seconds away from being able to get that. That is brutal, but great for me. I'm now 1 step closer to tying up Rich.
I'm not even trying to catch up to Rich at this point. I'm just trying to tie up with Andrew. But looking at this matchup here, we have Lucas at the bottom now with the minor poison, and Morten at the top with the P.E.K.K.A here. So this is another one of those matchups where it's like, if both players play perfect, Lucas is most likely just going to win just because the defense is very strong and the minor poison damage is consistent. But it is also in Lucas's core to not make any mistakes. One mistake and a Rainrider connects, one mistake and a P.E.K.K.A hits or a wizard connects here or there, and then it's going to be almost impossible to come back from that point.
And right there, that should be a shot unless he uses the log, gets it off just in time. Valkyrie plus Ice Spirit plus log, able to stop the Rainrider from getting a shot.
Another thing to mention here is that in single elixir, as we talked about before, it's not actually the cheaper deck that is better in single elixir. It's the more expensive deck, because the cheaper deck does not have a lot of the time, doesn't have the facilities to be able to defend these big pushes in single elixir. Morten played this fantastically at the start in order to get that elixir advantage, in order to get this back to the back to make this push. The problem is, double elixir comes in at the perfect moment for Lucas, and he's able to defend without a big deal at all, and he's going to be able to continue that for the rest of the match now.
So both towers perfectly healthy for Lucas. Morten's lowest tower is still at 2691, so definitely anybody's game. And Morten finally able to set himself up with these big pushes. P.E.K.K.A plus Rainrider plus everything on the left. Could be trouble for Lucas.
Okay, Lucas is doing a good job of having some solid defense, though he cycles back to his second Tesla to pull the battle ram, but also to take out the Phoenix. Wizard, a small threat, but he just uses the Ice Spirit to tank 1 shot. That's the first damage from Morten of the game, but he's still not in the damage lead.
It really is. I feel like if I wanted to become a better player, I would watch all of Lucas's games where he has to use buildings, because what he does with in terms of placement is something that I haven't seen before by any player, even Mo. So far, it has worked out spectacularly for him, where it always seems like he's making the right adjustment.
Evil Valkyrie tries its best to stop everything, but the Rainrider does connect, and that is the small mistake I'm talking about. Whether it's a mistake or just an unlucky cycle, he's not able to stop this Rainrider charge, and now all of a sudden Morten is in the damage lead, and Lucas needs to come back, and that's not what Minor Poison is best at. Minor Poison is best at having a damage lead and continuing that lead and having solid defense. But now in Triple Elixir, he's going to have to focus very aggressively with Minor Poisons to get this damage back.
Yeah, and if I'm Lucas, I'm poisoning the left. I'm trying to get a poison on top of the tower plus the wizard. I feel like in this matchup, you don't want to go same lane, but Lucas is disagreeing with my hypothesis and trying to do so.
Yeah, at the very least, you will get some good spell damage off your poisons by going same lane. I love this miner to the back, too, pulling the P.E.K.K.A backwards, allowing the Valkyrie to connect, and there you go. The damage lead is back for Lucas, and all of a sudden, it's now looking great for Morten, but he's making the plays he needs to. Look at this dual lane pressure. It's like we're watching Roll Giant. We got 2 P.E.K.K.As on the board with the Ram Rider. Look at this Tesla placement, though. You called it earlier. These building placements by Lucas are legendary. That was a beautiful defense.
And he gets the next Tesla up as well, 1900 to 2065. He needs to get a poison on top of the tower. The Evo Zap gonna go in with a miner. Can he get the poison down in time? Ghost going to hit it.
The Phoenix. Wait, the Phoenix explosion. Oh no, but Lucas takes the win by like 20 HP and gets the 2-0 sweep, knocking Morten out, and I don't know what else to say. That was so close.
Lane in dual mode and no bans. If it would be the same thing, if it'd be better, if it'd be worse.
Yeah, it's I don't know. How do you beat perfection? But at the same time, you just have to assume he would at this. Yeah.
Drill Marcher for Morten in game number 1. Mohamed Light gonna go ahead and NATO. That royal goes to the middle. If you're having trouble with that NATO play, folks, go ahead and just replay that one. That was the right timing and placement to not give up the very frustrating swipe of the ghost.
And brilliant
Just
placement
barely
right.
gets the quarter.
Yeah, brilliant placement right there. The Ice Spirit to retarget for the opposing Magic Archer. And then, I mean, he gives up 2 shots, but then he gets 2 shots himself. So great situation right there.
And a nice late reflection from Morten to capitalize on the reflection to the King Tower, to the Wizard, and to the Princess Tower, opening up a nice lead and putting that Evo Wizard in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, right here should be a decent push, and this is scary for Morten. Morten only has 3 elixir left. That's a ghost on top of the Wizard, but it's going to get 3 shots on top of the tower. 1046 right there, and Mo, he doesn't have the NATO back in cycle, but he's still going to be able to defend that very easily and apply more pressure with the possibility of him activating his ability.
Final minute of regulation, and Mohamed's starting to turn up the heat. The late Marcher from Morten to get the Wizard off the board. Mohamed Light there to clean that up. And trying to protect these bats. They get taken away because of the tornado placement. And it seems like there's an Evo Wizard on the board every 2 seconds.
Yeah, and I really think this is just impeccable preparation from Mohamed Light and his coach, because this is basically a mirror match, but instead of the bats, you have the Ice Spirit, so it's going to help considerably, I believe, in this matchup. And then you also have the logs, so you can get that chip damage if you need to. You can get the Magic Archer pushed away from the bridge if you don't have NATO in cycle. It just looks like a mirror, but you have the advantageous cards.
Drill in for Mohamed. Guards to cover, but once again, giving up Magic Archer damage. It's been a problem for Morten all day today.
Yeah, game's pretty much over. We're going to have to see how he wants to defend this. And really, Morten's in a position where he can't go on offense because Mo can just monk bridge and the game's over. This is basically what happens. And yeah, just like that, game should be over right now.
And you see he was trying to maybe get the double reflect in. Wasn't quite able to do it, and that's GG, well played. Game 1, Mohamed Light. A little bit short against Team Queso in the CRL European Finals. Of course, his season's not done yet, but he would love to get it locked up here and now.
Game 2, Morten cycling both of his evolutions and his first 2 cards, Evo Zap, Evo Skelus.
Have not seen a lot of Bandit today.
Yeah, usually the Bandit's paired with the MK, but it doesn't really feel like it's always in the MK decks either. Just one of those cards that completely fell out of the meta once Dagger Duchess was introduced. And now that we're starting to see Princess Tower, it's a little bit more natural to see it.
Much slower game than we've been accustomed to today. Both players taking their time to build a little bit. Royal Giant down for Mohamed.
Yeah, as soon as Morten popped that ability, you're spending so much, the Little Prince plus the ability for 6 elixir, and you're not really getting a ton of damage. So I feel like Morten should be a little bit worried about popping the ability so early like that.
Able to clean that up. You saw having to wait for the P.E.K.K.A. to allow the Fisherman to walk into range so it wouldn't get pulled away from the Royal Giant.
Molite not able to activate his ability in time. Does he want to go aggressive? He should have the Evo RG, I believe, 1 card away. But instead just gonna rage up his knight. An interesting play, but I like it. Forces out the Little Prince from SK Morten.
And Morten opting not to protect the Little Prince here, learning his lesson from the guard play last time. Sets up P.E.K.K.A. way in the back and decides to void. Protection will keep the queen alive a little longer. Oh, and a nice ability to negate that bandit.
Yeah, finally gets it down in time. If he can protect his Fisherman, which I believe he's going to do everything he possibly can. No, it's going to take out the Fisherman right there. We're going to have to see what happens with this defense. Needs to be able to protect the Archer Queen.
That's a good connection. Guardian will come in. Morten should have a P.E.K.K.A. ready for this, and he does. Fisherman, though, out, and that P.E.K.K.A. is not going to do enough. A great zap, and wow, what a defense from Morten.
Yeah, it looked like Morten was just trying. It felt like he waited just a tad bit because he knew that the zap was going to be able to properly take it out. And this is a really good counter push. That's going to be tower all the way down to 1370, and it's not stopping just yet. This is a great opportunity for him, and we might be seeing game over.
Wow. Wow, what a sequence from Morten to even things up.
We are going to a game number 3. It really...
And we are ready. Game number 3. Morten Mohamed Light, let's go.
I mean, how could you not want to pick alongside these games? This is what we've all been waiting for.
Is Morten going bait? Yes, he is. So if you're a Morten fan, one of the all-time greats with log bait. Let's see what he can do here in a final against, or in a lower bracket final elimination match against Mohamed Light playing log bait against Arrow Zap.
And you have to wonder if we're going to see another situation where Morten pulls out the log bait and then his opponent pulls out triple spell. Mohamed Light could potentially use the void as well.
Have we seen Evo recruits before today?
No, we have not. This is a first for them.
Mortar does go towards the Fisherman once and doesn't get a shot off. Well executed by Morten. Bandit has to come out to prevent the flying machine connection.
And Juicy's saying potentially no flying machine counter, and that's exactly correct. We still have to see what the last card is going to be for Mohamed Light, but if you only have a Little Prince, you are going to struggle against this deck. The recruit's just placed in the middle. All you have to do is put a flying machine in the middle of the bridge, and you just win the game. This is one of the more simple decks you could possibly imagine.
Giant Skeleton. Demolisher on the other side, and the first set of Evo recruits gets distributed.
I mean, if we see a potential, another reverse sweep come in from Morten, it's clear that he wants it. So excited to see that.
And almost all of that running away from the Giant Skeleton Bomb. Now we see the first double barrel. And that's a lot of damage very early. That right-hand tower absolutely demolished. And Morten completely in control with 40 seconds left.
We are going to see it. Mo Light, I mean, there's nothing he can possibly do. Only the little prince for the flying machine. All Morten has to do is cycle recruits in the middle, put the flying machine on the map. It doesn't matter where you place it, it's going to get insane value, and that's exactly what we're seeing from him. This is going to be game over already, although he has a chance.
Morten in a lot of trouble here. Does have to be careful. Bandit's going to dash, get on tower. And Morten is very, very low on elixir. He might lose this tower on the left-hand lane. A zap, the Guardian, and Mohamed Light extends this. Morten raising his eyebrows, cannot believe it, and he just got caught thirsty.
Oh my
He's got
goodness,
nothing.
The giant skeleton in the pocket to try and get it to the tower. I mean, it's not going to go to the crown tower, but it should still go to the king tower. No, a brilliant placement right there. And that, I mean, Morten, if he didn't place such a good demolisher, that could have been trouble for him. Instead, still has the lead, and we're still going to have to see what's going to happen with 1 minute and 38 seconds left.
I mean, that is really challenging. Morten had to think he had it sewn up there, but you saw it just got caught so thirsty out there on an island with nothing for it. And that's a nice use of the flying machine to just get the defensive mortar out of the way. Mohamed Light now setting up on the left-hand side. These giant skeletons could be really challenging for Morten on the long run, because there's plenty of ways, as we see, to remove them from contention. And that giant skeleton is going to tower, and he can't do anything about it.
Oh my goodness, that giant, okay, but the fisherman is going to be able to yank it back. He doesn't predict the fisherman. Had he predicted the fisherman, that could have been game over. Instead, Morten giving himself one more opportunity to win.
But he has to protect against miners and against giant skeletons. Evil recruits come out. That miner is just going to town. The tower is distracted. Demolisher has to come out. King Tower down to absolutely nothing. 373. Morten now try to see if he can put the pressure on with this big push, but the giant skeleton has just completely turned this game around.
Recruits at the bridge. Morten knows what he has to do. Just place everything at the bridge, hope something works. Trying to go for the king tower, the crown tower, everything, just trying to spam. But that little prince, it did get nerfed, but it is still a beautiful player.
Flying machine gets on the tower for a little bit, but that's not enough. Morten tries to go Demolisher in the pocket. Goblin Barrel not going to be able to make this thing happen. And Mohamed Light stole this one back from Morten and has gifted Lucas a golden ticket trip to World Finals.
Wow. It shouldn't have been able to happen. That shouldn't have been able to happen. Morten feeling sick to his stomach. Mohamed Light elated, and Lucas is going to be our July golden ticket winner officially. Lucas will be making it to the World Finals at the end of this year.